In the middle of November 2023, I was in Barcelona, and as one does when one is in strange places, one goes on the hunt for yarn. Of course. When I was at La Malu in Barcelona, I bought a skein of their own brand La Malu Zenith in peach, and I bought La Bien-Aimée Fuzz. Baby Suri. Because I thought peach and fuzz, that is just a great combination. You can imagine that I nearly fell off my chair when in the beginning of December, Pantone revealed that peach fuzz would be the color of 2024. Like, what are my glasses seeing in the future now? The color, of course, has been received by many a reaction, but a lot of them actually sound a bit like, after a year of hardship, shootings, war, and uncertainty regarding artificial intelligence, the Pantone Color Institute has announced that peach fuzz, a warm and fuzzy hue between pink and orange, is the color of the year 2024. Well, if war, shootings, and maybe even genocide are hip and trending again, then I think what we should do today is harken back to a time when all of that was hip and trendy too. Maybe we can fix those problems with peach fuzz too. I know I'm being very sarcastic here, but comments like that, which was in the LA Times, I do hope that editor had a stern talking to, make my chaos goblin brain go a little bit in rebel mode. So yes, friends, you have guessed correctly. We are going to do the 1940s again. A peach fuzz 1940s Pixie hood. Because firstly, pixie hoods are just cute, peach fuzz is a cool color, but thirdly, just out of spite. You know, this is Pixie hoods for mother and daughter for complete sets of instructions, and we are going to do the one that is on the cover, which is called Ladies Fancy Border Pixie Hood, because apparently it has a fancy border which just consists of knit one purl one, but yeah, this goblin is going to become a pixie just because she feels rebellious. That's also quite fitting, isn't it? The 3mm obviously was a little bit too big, so I have changed to 2mm needles, and then I still had to do some math to shorten the back of the pixie hood so that it would fit the measurements that I needed. And now we're just coasting along. This is going to be quite a dense fabric, but that's quite okay because I have very, very sensitive ears when it comes to the cold. So
before we continue with our irregularly scheduled shenanigans, I want to expand on this a bit more. While a color might not change the world by merely existing, taking that color and making something with it might send a signal to the powers that be. The term Craftivism was coined in 2003 by Betsy Greer, stating, "Craftivism is a way of looking at life where voicing opinions through creativity makes your voice stronger, your compassion deeper, and your quest for justice more infinite." Crafting and fiber arts have traditionally always been reduced to unproductive female labor in the home, as it was never integrated into profit-making systems. It was thus marginalized and undervalued. Crafts were put into the corner of the private sphere. Private craft circles became a place not only for sharing patterns and tips, but also for discussions of their own struggles as women. These group discussions were key to the second wave of feminism, and it raised awareness about the oppression women were facing in their day-to-day lives. Craftivism also centers strongly on the ideas of environmentalism and sustainability, choosing quality over quantity, while some also see their art form as a protest against war and violence. Juxtaposing soft and fuzzy yarn with cold and dangerous weapons like Danish artist Marianne Jorgensen in 2006, she stitched a giant pink tank blanket for a M24 Chaffee combat tank to protest the Iraq war. Anti-racism is another strong point of Activism for Crafters. Sisters in Stitches, a group primarily composed of women of color, was established in the late 1990s. They raised awareness for a number of causes their community faced, with patchwork and quilting. In a contrasting movement, it is also not a coincidence that pixie hoods gained popularity by the end of the 1930s, declined in the 50s, and saw another rise in popularity in modern times. Its popularity rises parallel with the rise of fascism in Europe and economic hardship, peaking when Princess Margaret wore one in 1948. You see, colonizers look just like us. Hard times give us two options: fight or flight, and I would categorize Craftivism as the fight reaction, but the emergence of the pixie hood gives us the flight reaction, escapism. Creating a better, kinder and nicer world for oneself, wherein we can hide when the world doesn't seem as nice? Well, you can see the same movement within the rise of many internet aesthetics colloquially called cores, with cottagecore as the finest example. The idea that modern life can be too much and the search for an escape to something simpler, calmer, more innocent is nothing new. Escapism in one form or another has always been present, a fantasy that helps people to retreat from the stresses, responsibilities and obligations of everyday life. From the outside, however, the main criticism is the most obvious and a glaring one. In a society as steeped in social and political issues as ours is, it seems ethically dubious to willfully ignore the real world. It might therefore be seen as dangerously delusional to think that one can just turn off the news, however grim it might be, to fantasize about being a pixie in a faraway fairyland. Disconnecting completely from real life and real people always carries great risk. When the stresses from the outside world are constant and ceaseless, however, perhaps it can help to imagine oneself a little goblin living with frog friends in the forest while spinning beautiful yarn. And I 100% understand it. You might have noticed that I too draw inspiration from cottagecore and goblincore aesthetics. I would love for the world to be much simpler, more sustainable and kinder, yet we cannot look away from the reality that we're living in. There's multiple wars being fought all over the world. Women, LGBTQI+ people, people of color and many other minority groups are progressively getting more oppressed by the day. But could it be both? Activist crafting is very aesthetic. To be fair, a tank cozy sounds very cottagecore to me. Can we be subversive craftivists while fantasizing about a better, kinder world? I think we can. I think we can make a peach fuzz pixie hood exactly to show that we want liberation for everyone, peace for everyone. I think we can use colors, textures and kindness to give the signal that we want to make the world around a better place. But could it be both? One can argue that craftivism gets close to escapism as well, as we indulge in the craft that keeps us sane during troubling times. It urges us not to keep our dreams and our crafts to ourselves, however. This is something that makes me think, that is making me think over the couple of days that I am working on this project. I feel like I want to explore craftivism and crafting for charity more. I do not have the answers for crafting a better world, but maybe together we do?
Now, for any one of you who thinks like, Jante, it's not that deep. Just knit the damn thing. Good news, I am more than halfway already. I had to do some serious math, however, to get here. The pattern says to increase until we have 85 stitches. And now we know that my gauge is off, especially widthwise. So I cannot trust that number of 85. I cannot continue until I have 85 stitches. That would be not a pixie hat, but a wizard hat, I think. So what I did do was I took the measurement of the circumference around the head of the hat, and that is supposed to be 16 inches. I was also supposed to knit 2 inches without any increasing or decreasing. That gives me 14 inches. 14 inches divided by 2 is 7. So I knit until I had 7 inches, and then I also knit the 2 inches without decreasing or increasing. Well, actually the other way around. And now I'm going to decrease until I'm back at the number of stitches where I started with. Also, just a moment for the amount of fluff this fabric has. Peach fuzz, but like literally. Okay, so the main hat portion is done. We now have to make the tie to, tie it around my face. On the pattern it says that I need one that is 36 stitches wide. I now made it 18 because I didn't feel like having like an actual scarf to tie this pixie hood down. I think this is more than broad enough to do that. Anyway, I have like a meter to go on this, so let's just flip and go.
And then, as per the instructions, I blocked both pieces by ironing them over a damp towel. Then I have to sew the 2 pieces together, but also folding over the decorative edge. Now, it doesn't say which side of the edge is the good side, or if you should have the knit or the purl stitches on the outside. I liked the way I did it, so with the purl stitches on the main part of the hood outside best. So that's what you're going to see right now. Ta-da! We have our 1940s Pixie hood. Very pointy, yes indeed. It seems to always be snowing whenever I do my Pantone challenge review. Let's check again next year to see if it keeps up. Yeah, this is nice and cozy and warm. I only feel slightly ridiculous, so that's exactly what we wanted, of course. As to my Wikipedia aided stream of consciousness over Craftivism and Escapism, I have a very, I think, Belgium and maybe Southern Netherlands directed question. Do you know of any craft related aids that I can help with? I've personally been thinking about BXL refugees, where they knit hats, scarves, blankets, anything for, and then send them, I think, in September. That's my main idea, that I'm going to knit hats for the refugees in Brussels. Maybe even a pixie hood. Would refugees in Brussels like a pixie hood? I think they would. It's really nice enclosing the head. So if you know any crafting aid organizations in Belgium or like the Southern Netherlands, like, I'm going to say it in Dutch, Nederlands Limburg, that would be helpful.
don't need to me. A little less serious. This is the first time I actually combined like a main yarn and then a fluffy yarn to knit together. And the funny thing is, I saw a Reddit post saying that in 2024 we are not going to do that anymore. Nobody is going to pay an exorbitant amount of money just to have a fluffier knit. And I'm like, I have a second one like this already in the pipeline. 2024 is a year I actually start doing this. But I do have a track record of always being immensely too late with trends. So yeah, checks out. Anyway, maybe it was a little bit of a chaotic video where I didn't really know what I wanted to say, but I made a hat in this year's Pantone color. It makes me look very pale, but it could also be the snow. Either one of two is making me look very pale. What do you think about Pantone's color for 2024? And are you going to make something with it? In any case, if you like these kind of fiber shenanigans, then maybe you could like, comment or subscribe. But of course, that is all up to you. And as for me, I will see you in a next video. But before I do that, maybe there is a playlist with some more knitting you like. Bye!